Who wants to do the recap? Okay, I'm rolling. Everybody pick a number between 1 and 6.
2.
I'm 1.
Oh, Matthew.
All right. So last time, Char misled us about how far her people lived away, and we walked a whole month, to get to Char's village, where they were being, her people, the Genasi, were essentially being oppressed by these lizard-like people. I forget what exactly you called them, but when we go.
They were like Yuan-Ti, the hills have eyes.
They were the hillbilly version of Yanti, with some of them misshapen and some of them not. Mm-hmm. And we managed to sneak into the volcano, where they were conducting the sacrifice, where they throw people in the volcano to appease the volcano god. And we slashed and dashed.
There you go.
Big time, yeah.
As our chief strategist did. Terry Tintos made friends with a small child, gave him lots of choking hazards.
It's alright.
Of ball bearings.
It's gonna be fine.
He only has a couple left, and, like...
He'll
probably
They'll
be
pass
fine.
through him. It'll be okay.
Yeah, and if he's part reptile, he might be able to, they're kind of...
Yeah, they can, eat eggs and stuff. Like, whole
Yeah.
eggs, right? It's gonna be fine. It's not...
I don't know. Yeah, they can unhinge his jaw. I don't know what it does for the windpipe. But we slashed and dashed. We stopped the sacrifice and killed most of the guards in spectacular fashion. Then we, as we were escaping, because the volcano god was very angry and did not get its supper, as most beings would be, in all fairness, the caldera started collapsing, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we did manage, as we were leaving, to get one of these statues that they had. That I forget exactly how you described it, Megan, but it was like...
Yeah, so you had assisted an elderly lizard Yuan-Ti folk who was struggling to pull one of these almost hard like stone but leather like in texture.
Yes, and the reason I forgot this is because it had a heartbeat, it turned out. And so I think where we left off is we were heading back to town with Char's people and our gaggle of lizard folks, who seem to be getting along a lot better now that they're all homeless together.
Yeah. So definitely pick back up. So you guys ended up like this evening. You guys probably traveled for a few hours, and we're just kind of do a recap of the travel time. But basically, you guys ended up traveling with these people. You ended up getting far enough away that you felt like you could rest the next day. You took time to assess what the necessities were, pretty much, and get a plan together. And definitely the Ganassi Rivet, who seemed to take charge in helping a lot of Ganassi leave, either individually or the one group.
Did you say rivet or ribbit? Oh, because he's okay, because he's a Ganassi, not a...
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That was... I was thinking...
No?
What is it called? Grungs? The frog folk?
Oh, yeah. Grung. And then you have the other ones.
There used to be a rivet, but he croaked.
No.
There it was.
So basically, you have able-bodied adults with you, especially Ganassi. They're used to living a nomadic lifestyle, so they're very well adept at surviving in these areas, so they've been a great help. This journey did take you a lot longer, so you guys took a month to get there, and it only takes you a month and a half to get back, because you end up those towns that were kind of along the trade route, you had to stop into these towns and get provisions, or even some of the Ganassi and lizard folk decided to stay, either due to fatigue or they liked the town, they liked the location. Um, they figured that that was good enough for them to move on their own. So you ended up leaving initially with over 100 people, Ganassi and lizard folk together, a big group to travel by foot, but essentially it wasn't a very largely populated area anymore. Um, there are maybe half a dozen families who do have these statues. And in this time, you're fully able to ask them questions or try to communicate with them if you have any information you want to get from them, or or maybe learn more about their situation and why they were so eager to leave, anything like that. But it does take you, like I said, it takes you longer to get back to the city. And when you get back to the city, there are roughly 60 left, most of them being Ganassi because they want to be reunited with their families that have hopefully already arrived here.
I think Lord of Edge, since he's the one who had the information, that these weird statues had a heartbeat. So he's like, okay, I guess this is an egg of some kind. And he would probably ask his companions, more specifically Terry than anyone, because he figures maybe in his thrift shopping, I guess we could say, that perhaps he has run across such a thing.
Yeah, and Char, at the next morning when you guys were getting a plan together, she was reunited with her father. Um, so she's been definitely taking charge and
Charge.
helping. Yeah, charge. Yeah, she's been helping people a lot. So she hasn't been necessarily one of the group recently. She's been helping others.
What a heartwarming reunion.
Yeah.
Terry,
What is
those things that the lizard folk are carrying, when I was holding one, it had a heartbeat. Do you know anything about that? I find it disconcerting. I think Genus would be quite upset with us should we bring an enormous lizard creature back to the city. I think it would reflect poorly upon our guild.
I don't know. Maybe he considers it a relic of the old world. I have no idea how ancient this statue is, but I can say if it has a heartbeat, in my experience, it's usually alive in some fashion. I really don't know what else to tell you. It's stuck that way. I don't even know. It doesn't seem to need to drink or eat. I don't know what's going on. It's in some sort of hibernation, right? I would assume.
When you do say it doesn't need a drink and eat, you noticed in your travels that people are trying, like they're trying to give these things water and like lay food like on them or near them or something. Like they're trying. Like they also recognize that these things are alive
Right.
and they just don't know. It's almost like what they're used to doing is not working, but they're continuing to do what they know.
So, just to clarify, there definitely is no drinking or eating. It's just them attempting. Okay. All right. So maybe it's just some sort of hibernation. I don't know about the reptilian folk, but there are plenty of mammals out there that when there's a certain uh, seasons, they might go and eat less and store up. I don't know. Maybe they had a buffet and then went into I don't know, barbecue hibernate. There, I don't know. There's something going on there. I've not experienced anything like this
Terry, you
before.
can't just
Actually, I
assume
think it's
that-
unreasonable that you think I've experienced something like this before. Frankly.
You are a learned man. I've spent all my time studying the blade. I know nothing of lizard people. Is that what charged people eat? Is barbecue? Is that?
What is this barbecue?
Everything's slow roasted.
Barbecue.
Charbroiled.
It's
What's next to a volcano?
you know, anything. It's like just sweet meat in general. You know, take it and make it crispy
I-
and cover it with
I
sugar
think perhaps
cane
we're
and
getting
other
off the subject. Do you know anything about these? Maybe
delicious candied
Oh,
meats are what
sire,
they
do
call
you-
Does
them. You
anyone
can find them
do-
all over every port, town, and city around. It's popular with kids.
Does anyone want to do like an intelligence
God.
check of any kind? Like I would take uh, survival medicine investigation. Anyone do want to do one of those checks on these
I would like to do an
statues?
intelligence one. I also just out of curiosity want to know the relationship of the family of Yanti that we were escaping with, the one that grabbed a statue right for the left. You know, I don't actually speak whatever language they speak, but perhaps I look at the young one and I go, child, parent, and then I might point at the statue and go, parent, child, and then point to the other person, or
Yeah.
I might look at a couple and be like, husband, wife,
So
or
do me an
partner.
investigation check.
Oh, sure.
But you did seemingly make acquaintances with the family of the young lizard Yanti. So it's probably a good start.
I rolled a 2, so that's 4 total. I'm not actually proficient in investigation. It's dipped in a lot of other stuff.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think I've been able to.
So you're not
deduce a
able
lot.
to investigate this creature as thoroughly as you like, possibly because its form. It's pretty. Once you get a good look at it, it's fairly obvious that it is Yonti-like in nature. It has a Yonti-likeness, um, but the way in which it is positioned kind of obstructs the facade a little bit. It kind of makes it look warped in the way it's positioned. So, but if you want to talk to the family, a lot of the Yanti know like broken common. It's not something that they're proficient with. They can get really basic ideas through. Um, and but it seems like maybe the Ganassi have been around them enough that they've tried to breach some sort of their communication hurdles. They've tried to because as you guys have been traveling, they don't have any animosity. None of the guards or shaman like people came with you. So you get the sense that perhaps they were going to be working together, or they have, I guess, found an emotional connection between them. There's a level of understanding between everyone.
It seemed weird whenever we were back in the volcano. It's almost like this caste system to where there was some Yanti that were in charge, and there was some Yanti that were also going to be thrown into the volcanic hole.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys have a month and a half to kind of watch these people,
Yep.
and you can tell that their physical deformities is an issue for a lot of them. They need aid and they need help. So an escape for them might have been dangerous. It
And-
might have the travel itself, the survival of it might have been more deadly than them staying and fighting the odds of them being sacrificed.
And just thinking back on it, none of the priests or the guards had any kind of deformities, right? And the people being sacrificed were the ones with deformities. I see.
Lord of Edge. Perhaps Osiah would be someone to pick their brain about this. His order, the Order of Apollo. I believe that's who he prays to, right? Okay. I think that if anybody was going to encounter an illness such as this, it would be the church, would it not?
Perhaps. And, also, while I have your attention, did Char tell you that this journey that she has had us on was going to last 2 months?
Oh no,
I-
no, not at all. As a matter of fact,
I only brought 2 weeks worth of underwear.
the first week, 2 weeks. Oh, you're a nobleman over here. I see. I was actually quite aggravated after the first week. I would have turned around, but that would have been a wasted week, and there's nothing more than wasting my time, I hate, than using
Well, I
it
thought
regularly.
that surely we would be there any day, and then it went on for another 2 months. It was.
Right, every time we passed a tree, Char would go, oh, it's just on the other side of the hill, around the bend, past the tree, right around the corner. And, months went by.
Let's go find Osiris, see if perhaps he knows anything. At least I do. I am not skilled at talking with making friends. I don't talk to people. So perhaps he might be more skilled.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if Osire would be trying to help people while there's downtime, or be
Uh,
making provisions, or maybe talking to the people, trying to get to know them in this odd situation you've found yourself in.
Yeah, I would definitely would like to try my hardest to kind of understand like the deformities and why some of the people are deformed and like the guards weren't, but these other people that
Yeah.
were getting sacrificed were. And like Matthew was saying, or maybe it was Terry, the caste system that they kind of had, where it just seemed like these were the undesirables and the other people were like, "No, we're
Ooh.
strong, we're great." So, uh,
That's a harsh
I,
word.
yeah, I know, but even
I
obviously,
mean,
if they kind
yeah,
of speak like our not the common tongue, but me just trying to get some type of understanding of like what
give
happened, how it happened.
me a persuasion check.
Okay.
I think it was a caste system because the priest had magic. Bedlam didn't.
What? Oh, I got a 7.
A 7?
Yeah, I got a 7. So,
Okay.
and that was
These
basically
people
a
aren't
4.
necessarily uh, have any animosity towards you, and they've been um, grateful in a lot of ways to the group who've helped liberate them, as well as the Ganassi who have aided them, even though were the circumstances different, they could be enemies. So, a 7's not going to get you all the details, but it will get you some big things, some enough for you to work with. So basically, let's say that you ended up talking to the child's parents that Terry had befriended. You know them. You're kind of able to on site recognize them. And the mother definitely is a bit more. She's able to communicate a little bit better, but it is still broken. Uh, so what you end up getting out of her is that her people have been sacrificed for a very long time. A lot of their history is a spoken history. It's not a written history. A lot of intelligent things they don't write. Writing's not a skill that they have. So a lot of what they know is things that have been passed down. Uh, so her husband is related to her through blood. Their numbers have been dwindling for so long that at one point her ancestors had mixed their bloodline with lizard folk in order to try and improve their numbers, because the purpose of their people, what they were taught was that they were there in order to appease this god. That by appeasing God, they would be heroes in a way. So her husband, the father of her children, is blood related to her, and it's basically because their numbers had dwindled to such a low because of all the sacrifices that many people just stopped having kids. There weren't as many children. Um, Either the children didn't survive due to parents being blood related, or they just stopped seeing the point. They weren't easily persuaded to continue to sacrifice their loved ones. A lot of them had reached a breaking point, but many of them were not physically capable. A lot of them needed assistance. They relied on each other a lot. Um, But you do notice that while you're talking to them, that the child that she does have that Terry made friends with, he seems, other than his little arm that he has, he seems pretty normal. He's able to play, run around. He favors the arm, so it's not something he uses all the time, but he will use it when, you know, if it's easy for him to use it. He's playing with these ball bearings and chasing after them and like hitting them against each other, making them clack and you know. But while he's playing around one of these statues. And I'll let the rest of the party come in. You know that you found Osire. He's been talking to the mother of the child that you've become acquainted with.
Not to mention, as we're walking up, the brother is doing hand signals to try to relay this information to us.
Yeah. Well, it's more broken like that. Like she might point at herself and she might point at him and be like, you know, related,
This,
blood. They
just
might,
straight
you
up.
know, yeah, this, like she would do it in more simple terms, but you're able to piece together what it is she's telling you.
uh, Greetings, Osire. Have you managed to learn anything about these these people? They seem to have taken more of a shine to you.
Uh, yeah. I learned a good bit of information just a couple of moments ago, and they're good people. Don't get me wrong; they're great people. Uh, just a lot of messed up things that happen around. Just sad. It saddens me. What's going on? How are you and Terry? What's going on?
We were just discussing how we wish we had been better informed so that we might be better supplied for this long voyage. I don't know if Char informed you of the length of that we would be.
No,
Uh,
no, no. I was in physical therapy. If you can't recall, and luckily I worked on my legs more than my arms because, jeez, what
that
a journey.
why did they have you working on your legs? That seems.
Yeah, they never really tell me. They just know that I like my legs being rubbed on, and they enjoy doing it, and I enjoy it. And I just kind of cry with my shoulder in pain, and they eventually get there. But my legs are nice. Like if I ever went to kick someone, I'm sure that's it. Like I don't know why I don't do that
Have
often.
you
They'd
thought
But
be
about
done.
landing on your feet next time, or
oh
perhaps
yeah, that also.
I could show you. It is part of my training. Is
Yeah, that wall. I showed that wall back there. I showed that wall.
you
What's
did.
for? Anyway, but yeah. If you didn't know, and if you wanted to know the reason why these people look the way that they do, I'll definitely love to sit here and tell you about that. Never mind. It's another story. But yeah, I wish I was more prepared for this journey as well.
What did you
Did you
happen to
find out?
glean?
Oh, I'm sorry, Terry.
Oh, no. What I was going to say is, did you happen to glean why the statues look like that?
They also have a heartbeat. If you did not know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
There's something inside of.
I would assume so.
Oh, he was telling me that earlier. Yes, apparently they're in. I would think some form of hibernation. I don't know how you'd be able to say otherwise. I don't. If you've noticed, the other Yonti seem to attempt to feed and water the statues. They, because of the heartbeat, I'm sure they think they need some sort of nourishment. But I'm convinced that it's some sort of
I
hibernation.
I see you're an expert now.
They're obviously, well, they're statues now. They're incapable of eating or drinking. It must be right. I mean, for how
I
long would they
mean,
have been in this state?
well, until right now, I thought they were just rocks, and they were just like trying to feed a rock at. But okay. Well, that's odd. And if it's not what I thought was a rock or a statue, and there's a living thing inside of that thing, uh,
Yeah, when
there
I
might
touched
be
it,
some.
it didn't feel like stone. It felt leathery, almost.
Yeah. Huh. Huh. Where is
Maybe
this said statue that you speak of? Where is the statue at right now?
The child that whose mother you're speaking to, the child is playing around one of these. When you guys had left, the father had one in his arms,
Huh.
and Matthew, or sorry, Lord of Edge had helped an elderly
Lady.
Yanti get one out of the town.
Dang, they're everywhere. Okay.
Maybe you could ask
Yeah,
whichever
I
one of you
mean,
could.
there's probably a little bit more than 6, maybe 8 of them that you guys have noticed. Um, and you've noticed this behavior. Like I said, you've got a group of 100 people that you had been traveling with that will trickle down as
To
your
like
journey
60.
progresses. So those 8-ish, 6 to 8 statues that are with your party will end up coming with you to the city. None of those have split up from the group.
all right.
Do,
They'll look great in the city.
yeah. Do you think that maybe you could ask about that? I mean, I thought about cutting one open, but that seems wrong
That does
somehow.
seem wrong.
Have you tried channeling the divine power of Apollo into in all of his infinite warmth and healing to do something about the statues?
You think I could just like put my hands on a statue and magic happens?
Yeah,
I mean, sometimes whenever we're injured, you do that.
Terry's
Is
making
it
a
just,
fun
I
point.
don't know. Is that too far fetched to assume?
Can the people of Apollo only work on legs? Is that it's
you know
exclusively
what?
waist down?
Let's see what happens here. And can I like go and talk to the wife,
Yeah.
and say like, can I touch your statue here?
She is apprehensive and she stands by you as you try to touch it. So she doesn't prevent you from do it, but she does seem protective.
Okay. And what could happen while I touch said egg-like statue? Like,
Um,
can I have a?
are you trying to investigate it? Are you
Yeah, I want to
trying to?
investigate it.
Okay.
And we've got an 18.
Ooh,
Oh
nice.
my god.
Okay. So it's also roll me a quick history.
Okay. A 7. Wow, oh, fuck that.
Uh,
Cool.
nothing that as you're sitting here and you're investigating it, you're going through kind of your encyclopedia of information and you're trying to surmise what's going on here. With your investigation check, you can definitely tell that something within this statue is living. It does. It is rock hard, as if it was a statue, but the actual texture of the exterior, the scales, all just seem too lifelike. It's not something where you're seeing chisel marks. You're not seeing seams where pieces were put together. It doesn't remind you of any stone that you recall from the city, or any statues that you recall that your your order has collected when they've found artifacts of Apollo. It it's odd. It could be a material you're not familiar with. Um, your history check, you don't recall being taught anything that is helping you. Um, so it's there. There's something there that you're missing.
Yeah, because I'm
Um,
wondering, like,
Could I,
is it where does this thing come out of? If it's not, because you say statue as opposed to an egg.
So in your also in your investigation, what you find is that the way that this figure is posed, it's almost in as if it was meant to capture fear or a terror of some sort. As if some of these statues that you've noticed, you've seen, they seem to be like they're holding themselves, or they go to cover their face, and it's obstructing um, the face of the figure, um, or they seem to be like they went to go turn away, something like that.
right, statues, living, they've been in fear or distress poses. I mean, I guess I want to try to rule out just petrification in general. Is there an Arcana roll that I could do for that? As
Yeah.
there are spells that might cause petrification and also cure petrification.
Hmm.
19,
Nice.
almost 20.
Okay, so definitely in your friendship with a certain old man, he seems to have collected artifacts of his own that you've been able to look through because you've become friends and close with him, and you've read something familiar magic wise. It is not a pleasant spell. It is something that is difficult for a spell to achieve, but certain creatures are able to naturally um, use this ability to petrify their enemies. So you do definitely get a sense that these things are petrified. Um, they kind of tick all the boxes of what a petrification magic would do.
Hmm.
Okay.
Like the combination of magic that needed to be weaved to achieve this. Like this is what I would do. Maybe not the odd, maybe the creepy heartbeat part is a little much, but
Right.
It's a living statue.
And I think that I still think that we could bring one of these statues perhaps to I have a friend of mine on the outside of town that I've seen. He actually started off giving me food. He thought I was a child whenever I first met him. But he sits out there and collects things of this nature, or we could bring him to the church. Either way, I feel like both are probably informed on petrified. Well, I wouldn't call these remains since they seem alive, but petrified goods.
I wonder who these people were or are.
I mean, obviously, there's some sort of relation to the Yanti, right? They
I mean, you guys are having this conversation out loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The mother, the Yuan-Ti female looks at you and she touches it and says, "Son."
Mm.
Oh. Hmm.
Said this um broken. I'll try to be as broken as I can. She said, "Punished.
Mm.
Did not believe."
I see.
Might have had something to do with that priest that didn't last so very long. Uh.
Apparently, the volcano god was not pleased with the sacrifice I gave him.
Chop that man up. Son. Yeah. I think our best bet is to either, I mean, Terry, if you know a guy that knows a guy, or you know the guy that knows the guy, or you know the guy
I mean,
that,
either way, we're going to encounter some issues sneaking them into town, right?
yeah.
I feel like I get in really close. I'm like, their appearance may set some people on high alert.
Um, but to that, if you guys do continue travel, when you do get back to the town, and all this can happen in the month and a half that you guys have to walk back, um,
Can we try
that
to pick up any broken neon tea while we're traveling?
Yeah, is there any way we can learn?
yeah, if you want to dedicate some time to investigating these or doing multiple checks and just getting as much information available to you guys about these, you can definitely, in that time, you would have been able to have chances to persuade somebody to tell you more about their god, which they know as Gatanathoa. Um,
Tanathoa.
That is cool, but I was actually referring to the language. I just want to be able to talk to them.
you can probably get like sentences, um, like greetings.
Okay.
How to ask where the
Uh,
bathroom is? Stay
yeah,
where? We're
yeah.
in the.
It's like,
Comete Earl Daniel.
yeah, you can get certain phrases, things to let the person that you're speaking with, that you don't know the language very well, that your name is this, you are from this location, or I am trying to get to said location. Very, simple phrases you're definitely able to get. And let me get, and I'll tell you in a second what that language is. Um,
I can only imagine that they the upper class did not allow these lower class people who they were trying to sacrifice to learn any kind of martial art, right? Because that would be what the Revenge would be interested in. Basically, these poor deformed lizard people in the Genasi were probably
they
not taught karate.
and yeah, and they were definitely they refer to them as true believers. That they were um, the most devout and pledged their loyalty to their shaman, who had preached to them that it was their duty to appease this god. That
Or be punished.
right, that the god would punish them, and that punishment are these half a dozen statues. So, um, in a sense, it's like your loved one's not gone; it's still there, but you can do nothing for them. In some ways, for them, it was a worse punishment to know that they're there, but there's absolutely nothing that they can do for them. So many of them preferred being sacrificed than to be petrified.
Mm.
Especially, the older woman, you can glean that it was like her husband, that this mother, her child has been petrified, that they, they can't feed them, they can't give
Yeah.
them water. So In your month and a half of travel, you're able to get back to town. It seems like those who were in town of the Ganassi, they had time to do a lot of legwork with some assistance from some of the guilds to get almost a refugee camp set up to get pretty much and inform them that hopefully more would be joining them. There does seem to be more in this refugee camp, so some of the other caravans, some of the other carts seem to have made it here. You guys end up having about a month downtime to relax, to do what you like. Lord of Edge ended up spending a great deal of time under Crawley's tutelage in learning some, just keeping his fighting skills, the sharpening his fighting skills. Uh, so Char has been spending a lot of time with people. She has been helping them find work, helping them in finding aid, or maybe some of them have decided they want to be adventurers, the Ganassi. So she's been assisting in that way. Um, the in this time, the Order of Apollo definitely could have been trying to help those with petrified family members, try to figure out how to unpetrify them. Uh, they so all in all, in this time, this 3.5 months that you guys have been on this adventure, things are pretty positive for the Yuan-Ti folk that you guys have helped and the Ganassi as well.
How did the city guard respond to us walking in with
The
so many
the
people?
in some sense, the refugees, especially those that you had talked to before you left, had gleamed that there's a possibility you were going to come back. Perhaps the guards didn't know what to do with so many. So it's probably rough for some of the people that you brought in. But in this time, it seems like the city you live in isn't a bad city. They've come together in some fashion to pitch tents, to make temporary housing, and they're kind of just in that process of how are they going to fit in? Do they want to join guilds? Does somebody want to set up shop somewhere? Somebody maybe has a skill that they can earn a living off of, that kind of stuff. Some of the Ganassi might have decided to continue to travel on and continue their nomadic lifestyle, that kind of stuff. One of the things, though, as you're back in town, I know you ended up talking about your friend. He hasn't been around, um, that you've been able to you find him at his usual place. Um, you have started hearing rumors of tremors, um, fairly random sinkholes appearing across the trade route.
Just put a steel plate over them. It's fine.
Um,
Does,
at,
does
at
old man Bartholomew leave his house often?
I thought you said his name was Jenkins.
I don't know. So I think we're brainstorming names of it. We can make it Jenkins.
Okay, because it's in my notes as Jenkins.
Oh, that's such a generic old name.
Fine, Bartholomew.
Old man Jenkins.
Old man Jenkins.
Bartholomew Jenkins. It's
Yeah, Bartholomew Jenkins. There you go.
Okay, there you go. That'll work.
Bartholomew. Okay, so at its worst, the worst news that's come so far is that one of the city's outer watchtowers fell into one of these sinkholes, and the 3 guards within them have not been found.
A watchtower just fell into a sinkhole.
Yes.
That sounds awfully suspicious. I mean, what are the chances that specifically a watchtower fell into a sinkhole?
These sinkholes seem to be somewhat random. There are instances where somebody's gone missing. In this one particular rumor that's going around is that the guards were engulfed by the sinkhole. Um, they haven't been able to find them yet. Uh, so there is that bit of news that's kind of put a damper on the positivity that you guys have been able to, and the relaxation that you've been able to embrace during this time. And just one fine morning, Terry, you get up and you notice a figure cloaked sitting at one of the tables in the tavern. Genus doesn't seem to be paying him much mind. Um, and Tamara is sitting in her usual spot by the fire. Kind of seems like she's looking, or she's reading, but she's looking up from time to time.
The cloak figure?
The
Or
Tamara.
Okay.
She's is sitting at her usual place by the fire, but she's looking around the room every once in a while. And then you have this cloaked figure sitting at one of the tables.
Are they eating or drinking anything, or they just?
They have a mug. They seem to be nursing it. They don't seem to be embracing the fluid within. It's just them sitting there. If
Okay. I'm playing a halfling, so I'll order breakfast and second breakfast at the same time. And yeah, it's probably enough for 2 people, but I'm gonna eat all of it. So I'm just gonna sit down and eat breakfast, and if there, I mean, this is a tavern, right? I don't think there's a particular reason I should disturb this fellow nursing his drink. He could have came back from a long adventure or something. I guess I'd take a look at him though. You know, it's probably part of the hobby of being upstairs of a tavern, coming down and sort of people watching every every now and then, as rude as it may be. You know, subtly, just to get a good look at them. You know, see if their shoes are really really dirty, or you know, if they have a lot of patches in their clothes, if they have any arrows sticking out of them. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff.
you look at this person, they're kind of staring into their cup, not really paying attention to what's going on around him. He looks very familiar to you. He looks like a familiar old man that hasn't been around for a while.
Oh man, I don't know that many old men around the city.
Or he would like us to
Bartholomew?
believe.
Right.
Bartholomew, is that you over there?
As you say that, it kind of, I, almost as if he was in thought, and kind of like brings his head up, and he goes, "Terry."
I visited you several times. This is the first time you've come to visit me. I would have ordered 2 more breakfasts, and then I slammed the table for 2 more breakfasts. To be ordered. Ah, what's the special occasion that's brought you here today? I've been meaning to come by your place. You know, we had a group of refugees, and they had statues. They were petrified remains of the Yuan-Ti. I thought you might be interested in them. I've been meaning to come get your attention, but when I swung by your house, you simply weren't there.
He gets closer to you. Are you like sitting at a table or bar?
I was probably at the bar if you've been
Yeah,
at the table
he comes
initially.
up to you at the bar and he sits down. And he says, kind of in a low tone, and he looks around, even though there's really nobody in here this time of day usually. Maybe you get the occasional regular who likes to get their bagel and cream cheese and coffee every morning.
Mm-hmm.
So he says, Terry.
Oh, I'm hyped. I'm into it. I'm leaning into it. I don't know why he's being so quiet when there's no one else
Yeah.
here. So this is some juicy stuff.
I need your help. Something has come up, and I might have done something, and I'm lost. I've hit a wall in a way. We have been able to engage in theoretical and otherworldly nature at times, and I
Oh, true, and I'm barely qualified to assist you in this, but what unfortunate circumstance have you caused?
I have become concerned about the rumors of late. The
Well, you said
sync.
something has come up, but those rumors involve things going down in their perpetuity.
Yes, um your choice of words is always a pleasure uh, to experience. Uh, I I'm in a sense scared, Terry, and perhaps you can assist me in figuring out what can be done about the events of the world.
I sort of, I'm like waiting for more information, and he's like still silent. I'm like, perhaps.
And he says,
Still, the question being, what have you done?
"I um our usual meeting place tonight. There are too many ears and eyes in these places.
I look over at what's her face's cat, the black cat that follows us around constantly.
Yeah, fast.
Right. Yes, too many eyes.
And if you should trust any others who you think is capable, bring them as well."
Right, right. Only a couple, I suppose, would feel comfortable doing something of the seedy, arcane nature you probably have in mind, you crafty old man.
Okay. Um, so everyone's day kind of goes as planned. At some point, I believe Terry will address you and say, "Hey, we got something cool to do."
There's something I need assistance with, and then because I don't actually know what it is, I can't tell you what it is. So I'm just trying to juice it up. I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be something else, guys. It's gonna be great. We're gonna meet back behind Bartholomew Jenkins' shed. There's an apple tree back there that he keeps the kids away from, but we're gonna head right back there, and we're gonna meet him. He's gonna give us specific instructions about tonight's activities.
Yeah.
This sounds like a trap, Terry. I just healed my arm, Terry. I'm not down for more traps, Terry.
It's good. Bartholomew would never do anything wicked to me.
You,
All right, so let's head on over there.
you know, normally I'm up for scrap too, but I'm with. Oh, sorry, this does sound.
Lord of Edge, it's going to be very
And-
dark. It's
Yeah, but
you look at Lord Edge and he's just covered in cat scratches. He's training.
Got a little bit of a fever going.
Yeah.
oh.
Genesis
guys,
training has been
I really,
quite thorough.
I need your help with this. I'm going to go.
Oh,
Good.
If I go, I may
I'll-
get hurt, and
I'll
need you
never,
there
I'll
for me.
never leave you, and I'll never try to put you in any type of position of danger. But it sounds like you're actively putting yourself in a position where something dangerous can happen. Like I don't get it, but I'm always here for you,
Alright,
Terry.
well,
I'm not saying not to go. I'm just saying this sounds very much like
Listen,
a trap.
in their life, there are only so many people capable of great kindness and generosity, and Bartholomew Jenkins is one of those people. All right, he's a lantern in a rainstorm of an unfair, unkind, and cruel world, as we've just recently seen. And
He's
to
not
let that
Sonny's
light
dad, is he?
be extinguished because we failed to help him, I wouldn't be able to forgive myself.
Everybody give me a history roll except for Terry.
Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. What is Bartholomew Jenkins done?
I got
6.
I got a 6.
I got a 6.
Oh, nice. All
got
right,
a
Terry,
6.
let's roll and see if you get a 6.
It's
I got a 10. But
Okay.
Oh, let's ruin it,
I'm
next
I could have
episode.
lied. What?
Bartholomew Jenkins doesn't seem like a name you haven't heard. You just can't place it.
Okay.
What's your relationship to him, Terry? What is he? Does he know something for you? Do you?
Well, if you would happen to know, he has a garden of exotic fruits, and whenever I was new to the town and could not afford to pay my way in, I stole from him a few times, and then he caught me one time, and he was like, "They're yours. Take them, child," because he thought I was a small, hungry child, and. Then, eventually I got close enough. He's like, you're not a child at all, you thief. And I'm like, oh, I thought you were giving these to me for free. And it just kind of all went, uphill from there, surprisingly. He invited me inside. Occasionally I bring him exotic wares for my adventures, time to time, to drop him off, just to amuse him. He doesn't get out of the house much. It was a great surprise to see him at the inn. Tavern.
Terry, you give me a history check.
A nat 20 plus
Sweet.
2. 22.
All right. When he says the usual place, that's code for not my house.
Well, this was I thought I mean whenever okay, all right,
I'm just saying. I'm letting you know he does have a house. He does have all the things that you're saying. But when he says not the usual place, he
Okay.
kind of like has like this like man cave.
All right, so not the place I met him at.
Right.
It's a different place. Okay. All right, gotcha.
Yeah.
But I want to still like expect there to be fruit wherever we go.
That
I
may
was-
be.
I was promised fruit.
What's the exotic fruit?
He has sort of the grandpa thing going on. He doesn't give you like caramel candies or anything. He just carries like fruits around with him.
A basket of apples.
Yes, like you talking apples?
Yeah, are we talking apples? We talking grapes? What are we talking?
Yeah, do you like pears?
I like pears.
What's a pear?
All right, I think pears are in season right now. That's what we should probably expect if he's gonna have random fruit in his pockets.
I heard about this whole order of people who used to slice fruit all day. Sort of fruit ninja.
God,
Some sort of trade.
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
The door.
It's been fun, everybody.
So you guys are able to go to the usual place, and this is kind of interesting because Terry leads you out of town, not too far out of town, but just enough that you can see the gates. And Terry, you kind of are bouncing in a certain place, waiting for a part of it to give. And you sweep the dust away, and you open up the familiar hatch, and you are able to go down.
This isn't sketchy, I swear.
Yeah, it's like the Lord of Edge jumps back about 3 feet when he starts bouncing after all these sinkholes have been eating people, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, start jumping," and then like it gives. Like, oh no.
Yes, I could explain it somewhere around here. I know it is.
So there's a trap door that you're able to go down a ladder.
I knew there would be a trap. I knew there would be some type of trap.
You know, all the most upstanding business happens underground.
No.
I'm sure Bartholomew has a perfectly good, reasonable explanation why he has a hidden room outside the city wall.
Terry, give me another check.
And you're sure there's going to be some type of fruit underground? I know vegetables grow
It depends
underground.
if he's trying to bribe me to do something or not, probably. Let's see. I only rolled a 4, so it's probably not going to get there, whatever it is.
You're not sure of his reasons why. You just know that this is where he keeps the cool shit.
Okay.
You don't know why it's here, but
Good.
maybe something about being outside the noise of the city, maybe? Yeah.
Well, maybe.
Perhaps some sort of
But this is cool.
refrigeration.
Outside the
It's-
noise, outside the eyes of the city, yeah.
Yeah. So you guys are able to go down. You do see an older
Watch the
gentleman.
tripwire.
Yeah, try to launch the tripwire. Uh, you close he does ask that you close the hatch back down. You guys are able to, you're in a fairly well lit room. It has space for you to move around. It's very claustrophobic, though, especially for people of a larger nature. You have a hard time not bumping into something as you're trying to find a place to put yourself. There are books, there are papers, there are boxes, there are statuette things, there's a desk with papers and books all over it. It's a small office of sorts that you might get a picture of underground. So there are like lanterns and stuff in here. And he goes, Terry. Um, and you guys see this older gentleman. He looks elven. He is not human. And you look at him. He's almost in a robe-like garb. Uh, that's not odd to you at all. The thing that stands out that is odd is he seems to have metal around his head in a hat-like shape.
Like a stovetop hat shape? Because you did this, and I'm like, stovetop hat?
Like it like has I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Turkish caps. I think it's Turkish where they come to a point. It's almost like a skull cap, but it comes to a point.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Kind of like a.
And it's metal in material.
Bless you.
Thank you.
Lord of Edge will bow pretty deep when he sees that it's an elf.
Yeah.
Just out of respect.
And he says, "Do you trust them, Terry?"
Oh yes, Lord of Edge. I think he might pride himself in this secret mission, and he's had my back with several occasions. Oh, sire, I never leave home without a sire.
He he hands you all out similar items to put on your heads. They aren't as well fashioned, as well finished as his, but he does give you a medal that looks to have been fashioned into headwear. And he said, if you would please."
This isn't fruit.
I kind of look around him, around his desk or anything to see if he's got.
Yeah, he's always got a basket of fruit on his desk.
All right, I kind of look up at Bartholomew, like like there's a fruit tax going on.
Yeah. He says, help yourselves.
All right. Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Cool.
If I
And
may, what is the Lord of Edge? Like he briefly takes off his old world style warrior's hat, which is a fedora, and he's like looking at it, it's like, if I may, what do I need to put this on for?
He says,
It's obviously a helmet for protection. I can't believe you, the Lord of Edge. You do not recognize a fine, handcrafted helmet when you see it.
I take a big yump out of a pear while they're talking. Just-
yeah. He says, yes, it is for your protection.
Works with
Like-
me.
Might I ask, Bartholomew, what is this going to protect us from? Wait, is it heavy? Is it like a heavy metal?
No.
Okay.
It's an aluminum tin type material.
He stands there in his trench coat.
He says
and his-
it. He says, kind of like in a low voice, he says, "It'll keep them out."
right. You know, I don't normally wear a helmet anyway, so I'm just gonna take your word for this. But it does it matter if I change the color of it in any fashion? Like if I was to just like,
That's fine. As long as you don't change the material.
all right,
I need. So as you guys look around, you do see kind of this mess that seems somewhat organized. Like it's just a lot of stuff. Like the mess comes from the quantity, not the way in which it is organized. It seems like their books are stacked up neatly. As you know, he has a place for everything. It's just there's a lot of everything. I would like everybody to. So, Lord Edge, your passive perception is 15. So, give me a perception check, everybody.
Dang, I'm rolling low tonight. 7.
12.
Yep.
I'm probably not looking for stuff.
I rolled a 9.
Okay, your passive.
He feels like he looks ridiculous in this hat. Not
Yeah.
like the other stuff that he was wearing didn't already do it, but it's the hat that's thrown him for a loop.
Yeah, it's that shiny silver color that's just not really mixing.
Just to a point, not an edge.
Yeah. So you, Lord of Edge, you notice you're pretty good at perceiving these things, especially if it's something that you notice you were familiar with. He seems to have etchings, or at least a copy of etchings that you guys took of the guide stones that your guild did sell. That is on his wall, kind of with some other documents, and kind of he has this colored string that seems to be somehow connecting a piece of paper to a piece of paper.
All right. Well, now that we've got our suitable protection to keep them out, what is it that you've called us here to do, Bartholomew?
All right. First, I want to make it clear that I am not mad,
Yes.
that I'm very aware of what I'm about to tell you will seem mad, but
Are
I
the
am
rats
a
back? I bet that I knew we didn't get them all.
rat.
Did you say rat? And then I pull out my rat statue. I'm like, I never leave home without it. I never leave home without it. Or put it back in my pocket.
And I very much doubt that most of you won't believe me. I know Terry will believe me, because no one else has believed me. But you do know me as Bartholomew Jenkins. I feel that it is somewhat pertinent that I tell you about myself in order to help piece together the information I am about to tell you. I was once a wizard at the Tree Branch Library.
Get out of here.
Does that ring any bells?
That's like, give me a history check
Yeah.
about the Tree Branch Library.
Nope. 7.
Oh,
Didn't involve
17
swords.
plus 2, 19 again.
I don't know.
1. Yeah, nothing. I'm
Yeah.
just hyping
so
it up.
Total sarcasm.
yeah, total sarcasm. Get out of here. As I chomp on my pear some more.
Like, what the hell is a Tree Branch
It's
Library?
like I've heard of a library.
Yeah, Terry, you've heard this story before.
Yeah.
He's not proud of his past, but he does think that it was a necessity in some ways. The Tree Branch Library, you also remember, is currently closed, or at least was when you guys left, and seems to have continued to stay closed since you have gotten back because of a certain artifact causing havoc. So they've kind of quarantined it for people's safety. So he says each wizard within the library, once you're admitted into the library, you're able to choose a topic in which you wish to study. You have access to the resources of the library. Anything that you discover is considered worthy of share. You must share your discoveries with the library. It is a temple of information for of knowledge for the sake of knowledge. So in their studies, they learned arcane things, they learned history, they learned all kinds of things. Bartholomew Jenkins or Neil Jenkins was mostly interested in how the world ended. Maybe perhaps by learning from his past, he can prevent it from happening in the future. There are tons of theories of what actually happened in that point. Some of you that are close to the church would have learned that basically a cataclysm had happened, that it was so powerful that the reason why you're alive today is because the gods sacrificed themselves to keep the world from basically dying. They died in your stead,
Was
basically.
was the cataclysm like tidal waves and earthquakes and volcanoes, or was it like interdimensional rifts like blowing apart the sky sort of stuff?
Depending on what you believe, a little bit of everything. So the maps that have been found of the old world geographically are quite different than what you're living in currently. The region in which you live in would have been not quite subtropical environment where there were a lot of forest. You would have had an ocean close by. You do not have one close by. You are fairly inland at this point.
So dramatic tectonic plate shifting. Wait, do we know what tectonic plates are? No,
Maybe
We're
there.
no scientists.
yeah.
I mean, some of the wizards might have studied the geographic part of the changes based on what they're able to find and what they're able to see today. It's almost like you guys had almost you found an ancient world and you're trying to decipher how it's different on a daily basis. So church would have believed that so Apollo had sacrificed himself so that his the people may survive, just like many other gods. But of course, Apollo was the the good, the best one, because he is a god of healing and prophecy. So, it's theorized that he saw it coming and he was able to do something about it. For those of you who aren't that religious, it's seen more as a natural cataclysm that happened. Either dramatic shift in tectonic plates, there are tons of theories as to what happened, how the races differ, whether there was magic before, where some of the races came from, because it seemed like the previous world barely mentioned any of the races that you guys have now. Um,
I
so
heard
it,
it was bad sushi that did most of the
Bad,
plan.
bad
yeah.
sushi.
So Bartholomew was letting you know that that's one of the things he studied was what happened. And a lot of the theories revolve around gods. Gods either sacrificing themselves. Some people believe that the gods were just like, hey, I'm out. Like, you deal with this on your own. Like, they abandon you. Some people believe the gods never existed. Those are the ones that. So, in his studies, and he's a relatively old elf. So, he's been studying these things for a very long time. And he came up with a theory that pretty much got him kicked out of the library. So the number of gods in the old world were numerous. They seemed to be favored. Different gods were favored in different centuries. They seemed to be the same and yet given different names, like the god of the sun. In one religion was called Ra, in another religion he was similar to Apollo, in another religion he was something else. So cultures he was able to, and that was something that just through the books and images and sculptures and things like that have been collected, it seems to be fairly well known, but it's not sure as if it's just a name difference. Like Apollo in this language is Apollo, but Apollo in another language is Ra. Not exactly sure how that came about. Um, but there are a group of gods that aren't of this world that he has found mentioned. They're called the outer gods. There are gods that seem to have been forgotten, the elder gods, and then there are gods who came to this world seeking. Basically, their worlds had run out of life. Perhaps he's not sure. He's found very little information about them. It seems to be in a set of short stories that he's really been able to get a lot of information about it. But in these outer gods, and much like some of the other religions, there is a consensus of an end of the world. In some religions, it's the horsemen that will bring the end of the world. In some religions, it's when their calendar ended. It's there's similarities between all these religions, but his theory is it's these outer gods. There's something to do with them and end of the world.
All right, Bartholomew, which one of these outer gods is swallowing up watchtowers outside of the city walls?
So, and as he's talking, he's kind of getting himself like in a fit almost. Like his brain is moving at this point faster than he's able to make. Uh, con-
Faster
Sentences?
than he can verbalize his ideas.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So he's like moving around the room and he is saying, and he's pulling up books, giving you picture references, getting excited about this. And you say like, okay, what God is this? And he's like, well, that's the thing. Is it a God? Because the lizard folk, from listening to their stories and talking to them, they say that this is a god. This is a god of their volcano. It's a god of their people. But is it a god of their people? Is it one of these outer gods? Because there are references. So he is just moving at a pace, and he's just working himself
The
into
Lord Vader's like honored.
Or it could be
honored
some
elder.
sort of subterranean creature.
I wonder if did any of these gods seem to resemble beings with some sort of tentacles. I recently had a vision of some sort of creatures.
you ask this question, and he's trying to think. He's like, and he's kind of like pulls open a drawer, and he's kind of like the organized place that you are in is becoming a little bit less and less as he's trying to find all these references. Basically, he's used to having to find materials to support what he is talking about, and so that is what he is doing. And so you asking about tentacles, and he brings out kind of like a notebook of some kinds, and he's like, I'm not sure if it's tentacles, and he's flipping through this book, but I remember seeing in a wall in some of my adventures, I remember seeing this symbol, and it seemed to refer to one of these gods, and he shows you this winged cephalopod-like creature. It is a symbol. It is not an outline of a humanoid figure, but I don't know if Lord of Edge can recall it, or if you need to make a roll as to where you've seen this symbol before.
I need to make a roll. That's
Okay.
Let's see. That's a is it intelligence?
Yeah.
17.
Okay. So during the festival, you guys had partaken in fortune telling. Some of you did. I think everybody did, actually.
Yeah.
I did not.
Oh, Terry did not. Okay. So, Lord of Edges was disrupted by the chaos that had started in the town, but you were able to get a glance of the cards, um, the like tarots that were basically putting out, and one of them was very similar to this symbol. It was a winged cephalopod creature. And he's like, I'm so close, Terry. I'm so close to figuring it all out. Like, I I haven't been able to I don't have enough pieces. That's not why I called you here, but I feel like in some of these stories they referenced magic that could be used, magic that they had, but magic that their followers could use that was bestowed upon them by these gods. And I if they did bring about the end of the world, if my theory is correct, if what I found is real, I have to have definitive proof. I have to have something that they'll believe. They they're too set in their ways of not wanting to believe something like this. They're just it's the gods aren't here anymore, that it was just a cataclysm, that it has to be proof, it has to be rational, but this is outside the realm of ration. This is chaotic in a way, just like the end of the world would have been chaotic. It was foretold that they would bring it about.
Bartholomew, I feel you're still getting incredibly excited. I can't help but think the reason you called here today, is it to steal some sort of artifact, or is it to is there a location that you need us to investigate, perhaps, or somebody that you need us to talk to and bring to you, or deliver a message of sorts?
There, no, and yes. I made a mistake when the last time I entered the library. I touched something I shouldn't have. And I shouldn't have been in the library to begin with, because I am not allowed.
Oh, that's impressive. How did you sneak into the library?
It's a bunch of wizards.
Well, yes, but as I'm aware, as someone who dabbles in the arcane, not so far
Bless
as
you.
you, I rely on. Are you
Thank you.
okay?
Yeah, sorry.
Bless you.
All the dust from getting all
I
these
rely on a
papers.
combination of dabbling in magic and these two daggers here to get most of my jobs done. But I do know from the brief reading I've done that there are spells that will guard areas. Right? There's glyphs and noises that can be set to trap or alarm. Uh,
I am very familiar with the security in which they put up. There are things at my disposal in which I am able to almost change myself to the point in which I can gain entry as a different entity. So he's able to get in somehow during normal time, through arcane means. So he says there's something I've been using, something I found in my study, something. It's not a spell. But it works like a spell. It's like a tonic of sorts. It's not a medicine, but similar. It's hard to describe. It takes certain ingredients to make it. If
what you're
I
describing kind of just sounds like a potion.
but it's solid in nature.
Like, okay.
So there are ingredients in which I need to make this. I've run out of ingredients. I need your assistance in that, as well as these sinkholes that you mentioned. I don't know if it is a god. I have to be there, I guess.
I do think we gleaned over. What exactly did you touch inside of the wizard's library? That the tree home what
Was
There,
it perhaps some kind of holy artifact?
it is an artifact in which the library holds that is not holy, but more of a uh, unholy um, origin. Not many have been allowed to read it. From what I understand, the last person who did um, went insane. Uh,
did you
s-
did you read the book,
I,
Bartholomew?
in my panic, because I believed someone was able to see through my disguise, um, I accidentally um, it it the the thing in which it was contained in, um, the spells that were on it are still in place, but it it seems to almost have a mind of its own, and in my panic I was trying to get out of there, and I believe I the case that it was in, I I think I'm pretty sure I pushed it over. There are things that keep it sealed, keep it from affecting anybody, but I I I don't know.
Can
I
I
don't.
insight check this crazy old man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bartholomew is. It seems like a pretty fragile shield. Is it meant to protect from divination magic or the sorts?
It it is meant to protect us from it.
I got an 11, which makes me think that I think that he was crazy before he went back. So
What'd
hard
you
to
get?
tell.
What did Osire get?
Oh, I didn't even try. I got. Oh yeah, I got a 24. Yeah, that's a crazy
Oh,
old bat.
okay. You definitely don't think.
Well, hold on.
Yes, he's lying, but um, like the pan. You don't think he was lying about panicking and stuff, but
No,
the panic is misplaced. Do you think that he was maybe looking at something he shouldn't have been?
is this a crazy old bat? Does he have one of our little hats on too?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he says that the ingredients I can tell you that I need, I have two of them. I don't have one. I ran out. The library has it, but it can be found in other places. They have a stock of these arcane materials that are a little bit more rare than what you can find in the market. Um, but the sinkholes, if I have a hunch, it could be one of these beings based on what I was able to get out of the some of the lizard folk. But I don't know, and if it is one of these beings, then I don't know how we're ever going to contain it again. And what if it ends up coming to the city? What if it ends up just swallowing people whole? What if it has an enemy, but do we bring this enemy back? Will she even want to help us? Like, is it would it even be possible? I mean, there are rituals that would bring these creatures back, but I, I just don't know, Terry. There's just so much I don't know yet.
All right. Okay. Well, there is part of me that worries about some sort of paranormal beast that could be tunneling through the ground, swallowing up things or the surface above when we're in an underground room. But that aside, that aside, apart from that,
There's more
um,
than one way in and out of here,
she,
right?
are you saying to fight on our behalf these abnormalities, these living catastrophes befallen our city, that we would summon another equally powerful being to our aid?
Yes.
That's
So just listen, Terry. So
Right,
just
right.
imagine
I'm imagining.
there's a world full of people who want to believe in gods. What if there's a chance? What if there is a chance that by summoning what this thing's foe could be, that we aren't giving the people the the God in which they so desire to believe in? What if she is benevolent and will grace us with gifts for our worship? What if
All right,
there
right,
are
right. But Bartholomew, who is she? We're really beating around the bush here. I've never seen you so indirect with her. I think you're afraid to tell me what it is that you mean to say. I don't know who she is, and I don't know what it is tunneling outside the city.
the
Fruit's
lizard
delicious.
the lizard folk have used the name Gotanathoa. This does refer to an ancient being in which was here before the old world was here. It was a part of a more ancient civilization, but it did not originate here. If this creature that is causing issues that the lizard folk have experienced, just as the stories have told, that it has an enemy of Shub-Niggurath. She does not suffer this Ghathanatho creature that is just chaos. She does not let her young be subject to such a greedy demon-like god.
You know, I gotta be honest, Bartholomew. I just feel like there are alternatives. Why not try to bring back Apollo or something like that? You know, a good
yeah,
god, not
yeah.
some of these ones that I've never heard of that may come from dubious origin. I just
And
can't
I
Everyone
help but
sounds
think.
evil to me. Everyone sounds evil to me.
and that is the thing. If Apollo, if the theories are correct, if Apollo sacrificed himself, if the other gods had sacrificed themselves in saving the world, how did this one live?
Well, I suppose you didn't need to sacrifice all of the gods, right? Just the ones that were of a good nature decided that it would be better for the denizens of our plane to live on.
But now hear me out. We're assuming that that this creature, especially the lizard folk, are under the impression that it is not a good thing.
Right, yeah.
It survived. If Apollo and the other gods did not survive, what if there was a conflict between them? What if the old stories that I have found are true and these creatures are what brought about the end of the world? These creatures who are not do not come from our world, did not birth. What if they won?
Uh,
And what if
At least this one seemed to have been sealed away until fairly recently.
yeah, that is unfortunate how that happened. Right. Well, yeah, I'm not quite sure how we would deal with said creature, but I just can't help but thinking that summoning another equally
I
powerful
put
creature
a
of unknown origin
The
could
Lord of
be a
Edge
bad
puts a
idea.
hand on Terry and he says, Let them fight. We must restore balance.
Is this just gonna be
We
like
must
a
let them fight.
kaiju versus giant reptiles? Kind of thing going
I'm
on?
hoping.
Yeah, yeah.
Let them fight.
But the other task I need your assistance with is
Got it. We
the
bring back the other god, and then you would like us to.
All right,
the
yeah.
tonic,
Let's put that plan on pause. What's the other thing
the ingredients, the one I need, the
to sneak back into the library?
or you could have obtained it by other means. I do not wish to put you in a situation in which you would come to harm, but it is a it lets me see previous lives, I believe. It seems odd that what I dream is so familiar to me yet new at the same time.
Wait, you've been having dreams. Also, is that
This tonic,
ah?
this um the ingredients that I ingest, they let me see another world that we live in. I believe it's the past. I believe it's letting me see the past, things that have happened. I don't think it is uh, a prophecy of the future. It feels too familiar in a lot of
That
ways.
sounds terribly disorienting. I know sometimes they clear the rabble out of the street. What if, and in the past the rabble was there? I walked down the street and there was a rock there yesterday. There's not a rock there today. Am I going to
It
believe
Do
there's a
do
rock?
it
drugs exist in this time period? Because that's what that sounds like. It's some really good psychedelic.
it's not yesterday. It is lives before this one. It is where I almost see before the elven people were as they are today.
This one seems significantly less dangerous than summoning another god. What exactly do you need for this particular decoction?
I have um, the I have the fat of a poisonous frog. I have the and
Good.
he's looking through his stuff and he's like pulling out and I have the powdered bone of a feline. I just need the red moss. That
The red
is
moss.
yes, that is a bit harder for me to find.
Do you know the location in which the red moss grows?
There's a forest up north. Um, it
Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. How far away is the forest? I'd
Thank
have you
you.
know, we were told there would be a short trip that ended up in about 3 months. And I have to say, I did not. That was an unpleasant surprise.
if you, I mean, if you were to take a, an, a horse or donkey of some sort, I'm sure the travel would be much faster. But
We
I
sadly
do
lost
believe
our
it is.
ass.
We lost our ass
Yeah.
on this trip. Yes.
I do believe that it is about 10, 12 days from
Okay.
here, perhaps shorter. Um, if if you take a beast of burden with you.
And will we need the hats for this trip?
No, it is only while you are in here.
Ah,
Something
I don't need the information in which I am giving you currently to leave your minds with prying eyes. There are things out there that I this is all just if the stories I have read are true, and in some cases I hope they're not. This is a necessary step to protect our minds.
Hmm. I'm finished with my pair now. Holy crap. Would for whatever reason, because I mean, I guess this is our task. These are the tasks. We have to find some red moss and basically like bring back a god.
You don't have to. You have a choice.
Can we have a moment, Bartholomew? Can we?
He says, yes, I think that we've spent enough time together. If you should have any questions, Terry knows where to find me, but it grows
Our other secret place.
and it
How many of these do you have?
Well, see,
Yeah.
That's probably
this is our
confidential.
informal secret place. There's also a formal secret place that he probably wouldn't share to any outsiders. As a matter of fact, I'm not convinced that Bartholomew doesn't have a third secret place that he hasn't even shown me. And then I stare at Bartholomew.
he doesn't stare back at you. He says, but I think we've spent enough time together. If we spend any more time together, people will get suspicious.
Bartholomew, we're honored elder. We're in an underground bunker. No one knows where we are.
I hope so.
The last time a squirrel got in and he had to burn the place. It was unfortunate.
Sheesh.
So he does try to make but it is getting late. All this excitement is now wearing on him in his
He's
old
exhausted.
age.
Yeah, I guess we'll climb up. And
Mhm.
Yeah. Can I have another one of those pears, please?
Yes.
Okay, I'm taking another pear.
um,
And I guess we don't need these hats anymore.
Yes, you can take them off. Unless you are also concerned for your mental well-being and wish to keep it, you can. It is a gift if
I'm
you would like it.
mostly concerned about lice. Do you
Okay,
get
I'll
lice?
keep mine. Specifically, I'm gonna keep mine because there's been times. There's been times.
I kind of want to hold on to it now. I have a cowl anyways. It'll be less weird for me because I already have a hood to put over it. You know what I mean?
I already have something to protect my mind, and I very purposely put a hand on my sword.
Oh, super cool.
Oh god.
I guess we'll head out.
Chars are going to
But
believe us.
I mean, but are we accepting this? Yeah, like is this the thing? That's kind of why I wanted to like see if.
I mean, you all had that same dream. Something is out there. I saw that same card on the tarot.
We've had
Fortune was read, and that card of whatever he just showed us, that thing was in our future. I've talked to Genus between storm matches. He feels something is coming. I don't know what it is, but we aren't ready.
And the communal dream was really weird that we all had the same dream. I think that I don't know. Maybe we could collect enough. I mean, he said what was it? Feline bones and.
He said he already had
frog
feline
fat.
bones.
I feel like we could probably, if we run by them, we'll just grab more ingredients in addition to the red moss. Maybe he can make some for us too. We'll find out what these potions are about that he's brewing. Right? Perhaps experiencing it firsthand would help us out. If anybody wants to go on a search on the way there, it's only 10 days ride, so of course we're going. Right? It's barely an inconvenience.
Yeah, compared to the last trip, of course.
Honestly, yes, 10 days. I think this is something we should see through.
Right.
I'm in. I'm in. Well,
Thank you, Osai. Watch the trigger string on the way out.
oh yeah. I yank it with my good arm.
Yeah, there we go.
I look around, see if the cat's around.
No, Bast is not around.
We almost had that additional feline bone.
That would have been fun. So you guys are able to discuss what it is you have heard, your next steps. You get back to the tavern. Char isn't there. She has been spending a lot of time with her family. Her mother is having some issues after she woke up from her coma. She's been
She's feeling a bit burnt out, or
Yeah. Yeah, mentally she seems very exhausted. She's having a hard time coming to terms with the events. And she gets riled up very easily, so they've tried to keep her in a very calm
Hot
place.
tempered. Yeah.
Yeah,
Property
sure.
damage has been quite extensive.
So, you all are able to go to your rooms. You're able to think over the events of the day, what your next travel plans would be. Terry, do you ever take off your silvery hat?
Do I ever take it off? Probably before bed, I'd assume.
Um,
I mean, it'd be weird to sleep in it, wouldn't it?
where do you keep your radio?
Where do I keep the radio? By
Yeah.
my bedside.
Okay. So as you
Oh
are
no. Oh
getting all cozy with your salvage goods, that
no. I have a bed. All the salvage crap is around the bed. The bed, it's
and
probably not neat, but there's not stuff laying on top of it.
After you get yourself all settled in, Mr. Scuttles takes his usual place on your chest, um, and you hear static from your radio, and it goes. And you've heard it every once in a while. Um, you haven't really been able to find a cause for it. You know that people are able to use magic to turn it on, so you maybe think that it's something to that nature. But this time you hear a voice, and the voice says that Terry, Terry, if I can help, I can help you with your problems, Terry. And then it cuts off. Thank you guys for joining us for Into the Dungeon. I hope you enjoyed the game. If you would like to see any of our other content or previous games leading up to this one, you can go to patreon.com/into the dungeon, or you can visit our website inthedungeon.net. If you love us, then, or in the dungeon.com, I'm sorry. If you love us, you can support us or just, show your support in comments or sharing with your friends. We'd greatly appreciate that. We do these episodes every 2 weeks. We keep them as digestible amounts of time as we can. And thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. And we will see you next time. Thank you
Bye.
guys.
Whoop,
Bye.
whoop, 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 whoop. Doo-doo, boop, 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 boop.